Hi guys, this is Anna from Kakibana and welcome to another video. In today's video, I'm going to talk about my experience of learning Portuguese in Brazil. In one of my previous videos, I spoke about how I learned 6 languages, and one of the languages was Portuguese because I did go to Brazil for 3 weeks in January of 2016 because I already speak Spanish, and so it's very similar, Portuguese and Spanish. So I was able to pick up a few phrases, learn a few words. But definitely I wasn't comfortable enough to just go ahead and have a conversation with anyone. I couldn't really think of sentences off the top of my head. I definitely didn't know enough vocabulary. I didn't know how to conjugate verbs and, talk in different tenses. This time around, I wanted to learn Portuguese for real and be confident in speaking and be able to have a conversation with anyone. So I'm going to talk to you about how I learned Portuguese in Brazil because I went last year, so I came back almost exactly a year ago, and I went for 3 months. So I went in November, December and January, end of 2017 and the start of 2018. I'm going to share with you what I did there, how I studied, and any recommendations for you if you're thinking of going to Brazil. I just want to emphasize the benefits of learning Portuguese if you are going to Brazil, because it just means that you're going to connect so much more with the culture, you're going to connect so much more with the people, and you're just going to feel more connected with the country as a whole. So if you're going to Brazil, I really recommend putting some effort in and learning Portuguese, as this will make your experience that much better. So after spending 3 months in Brazil, I was able to get to a level where I was really happy with. I was able to have a conversation with people and also be able to speak without having to think too much and know quite a few vocabulary. So if you watch all the way to the end of this video, you'll be able to see me speaking in Portuguese and see what my Portuguese is like now. So when I was planning my trip to Brazil, again, I had requirements of where I wanted to go in mind, and because Brazil is such a huge country, such diverse cities, I really needed to know what I wanted in order to be able to choose where to study Portuguese. I wanted a similar experience to the one I had learning Spanish in Nicaragua. I'll leave the link below of my video of my experience there. But basically, I was in a small coastal town. I was at a school where I was having one-on-one private lessons 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, including homestay, including school, for a really cheap price. So I wanted to basically have that experience again, but in Brazil. I wanted a coastal town, and I wanted a place where the Portuguese was going to be really clear to understand. I wanted a relatively inexpensive place and a safe place to travel. I had in my head these requirements as I searched on the internet to find a good city, a good school. And to be honest, I could not find in Brazil a school that was similar to the one in Nicaragua. So basically none of them really offered like one-on-one classes, and also they were so expensive as well. So a lot of the schools in different cities all around Brazil were around $200 per week, which is super expensive just for the 20 hours of classes, nothing else included. So it was probably going to be in a class of around 6, 8, 10 people. But the price of $200 is the same as an English language school here in Australia. And Australia is known to be an expensive country. So I thought, I can't pay $200 a week in order to study Portuguese in Brazil, because I thought Brazil was going to be a cheaper country. So I asked my Brazilian friends in Australia where I should go, and I gave them my requirements, what I was looking for. A lot of them immediately, they said São Paulo, because the Portuguese is really clear, it's really easy to understand. But São Paulo is like the biggest city in Brazil. So I thought I want like a coastal town. So then other people recommended me a little town called Cabo Frio, which is located in the state of Rio de Janeiro. So they recommended me that beach. So I said, okay, well, let's just go there, try and find a school while I'm there rather than look online, because I wasn't having much success. Because I thought maybe if it's a small school, then maybe they're not going to have a website. My boyfriend and I we packed our bags and we went to Brazil in November 2017. So first we arrived in a town called Macaé, which is actually near Cabo Frio, just a couple of hours. And we went there because my Brazilian friends in Australia, they had family there. So we thought that we would stay with them for a week or so. We had a really good time with the family. One of them spoke English fluently, but then the others didn't speak English. And so we were able to practice a little bit of Portuguese. Speaking was a little bit hard for me. I couldn't, form the sentences. I wasn't able to say everything I wanted to. But just being around them, I could pick up some phrases while I was listening to their conversations. And one of the things about Brazilians is that they are super friendly. So basically, if you meet one Brazilian, they're going to introduce you to their whole family, introduce you to their friends, invite you to their house for dinner, invite you to birthday parties, Christmas parties. So that is what happened in Macaé. We had a really awesome time getting to know the family. While we were in Macaé, we checked out Cabo Frio and we found a place on Airbnb that we could stay in Cabo Frio. We went there after a week in Macaé. So with the Airbnb family, they were super nice as well. So they picked us up from the bus station and they took us to the house. They invited us to their house. They invited us out to go to events together. And we had a really good time getting to know them, really appreciate their patience when talking to us in Portuguese. We looked around for a school there and there was basically no Portuguese schools at all. So it wasn't like the coastal town in Nicaragua at all. The beaches were super beautiful, so that was really nice. And so we started looking at other ways to study Portuguese. So we were looking for a private tutor that we could have classes with for 2 hours a week. Airbnb people, they asked around for us and we found an amazing tutor who became one of our really good friends. So we had lessons with her 2 hours a week, and of course she invited us to her house. She introduced us to her family and friends, invited us to a birthday party. We went out together and we had a really good time with her, and all this time we were speaking in Portuguese as well. So because the classes with her was only 2 hours a week, I was studying online using YouTube videos with this one channel called Clases de Português. So this is a Brazilian guy who speaks Spanish, and so he explains all the grammar, introduces vocabulary in Spanish. His videos are absolutely amazing. So if you speak Spanish and want to learn Portuguese, I definitely recommend his channel. So I want to thank him so much for making his channel because it is so professionally done. I really studied these videos every single day, and I studied a lot in one day. In the time that we're in Cabo Frio, I basically went through all of the videos and learnt all the grammar and the vocabulary, and then basically it was time to just practice speaking for me and improve on my speaking and listening skills. And because it was such a small coastal town, we had a lot of time in our hands, and so I took advantage of that time, and as well as studying grammar with the YouTube channel, I also wanted to practice my listening, and so I watched YouTube channels. Ones that I really liked were Déborah Hudz and Cara no Mundo, which they are Brazilians with a Japanese background, so they are Japanese heritage. They are living in Japan and talking about their experience in Japan, but in Portuguese. And I was really interested in that because I'm half Japanese, and so I found it really interesting listening to them talking about their experience in Japan. And then I also practiced Portuguese by listening to songs. So I listened mostly to sertanejo, but also some funky songs, and I was singing along to them, learning the lyrics and practicing my pronunciation. We had decided previously that we were going to stay in Cabo Frio for 3 months or so. We were going to try it out, see how it was. But yes, it actually turned out that Cabo Frio, it gets really busy over December and January because of Christmas, because of New Year's, and so we couldn't find accommodation anywhere, or it was going to be super expensive. Also, because it was a small town, we weren't going to school there, and so during the week, because our tutor and Airbnb family, they had stuff to do as well, they had to work. During the week, we had a lot of time on our hands. We didn't really have anything to do other than study Portuguese. So we decided that it was best to go to Rio de Janeiro to maybe do some sightseeing and go to a busier city where we had things to do every day. So we ended up staying in Cabo Frio for 4 weeks before we headed to Rio de Janeiro for 4 weeks. So there in Rio de Janeiro, again, we stayed with an Airbnb family. And so yes, we did practice our speaking with them, but not as much because we went out a lot sightseeing. And also we took a little bit of a break from actually studying Portuguese. It's really good to do that when you're studying a language so that you give your mind some time for everything to absorb in and just give it a rest, and then I really feel fresh again. So we really enjoyed Rio de Janeiro. We did some touristy things, went to different places, saw different monuments, and then Christmas came around, and again we had one of our friends from back in Australia. She introduced us to her family and we were able to spend Christmas with them, and that was really nice because yes, they invited us into their home. We talked a lot in Portuguese. So New Year's came around and we spent it with my boyfriend's brother and my boyfriend's brother's girlfriend and her family who were visiting from Colombia. So we ended up speaking Spanish that whole time and we kind of forgot about learning Portuguese, but we had a really good time with them. Then the first week of 2018, I really wanted to go to a school because yes, doing touristy things is fun, but you know, we didn't want to spend all of our money doing those things because Rio can be really expensive. I decided to just go to a language school there. I went to one that I'd previously seen online called Caminhos Language Center, which was quite expensive, but I decided that I wanted to do that because I wanted to meet other people there and also practice my Portuguese. I paid the $200 for 20 hours of study a week. So this was in a group class and I did a test in order to see my level. I was at a level of B2, which is upper intermediate, so one before advanced level. And so in that level, because we'd kind of already studied all the grammar, it was basically just having conversations as a class. So the teacher talked quite a bit, which was really good to get expressions and listen to her pronunciation. And I met other fellow travelers who were learning Portuguese. Although it was expensive, I had a really good time at this school and I really recommend it to people because they have a lot of extra activities organized. So after 4 weeks in Rio de Janeiro, we decided to go to São Paulo because we decided to spend more time with my boyfriend's brother and my boyfriend's brother's girlfriend, and they're living in São Paulo. And so we decided to go to a school in São Paulo. And again, it was a little bit expensive, but it gave us something to do and somewhere to go and meet new people and practice Portuguese with other people. And so I thought it would be better to pay the cost of the school because I wanted to focus on improving my Portuguese. So this school, the name is Aprenda2, and we went to study for 16 hours per week. It cost around $100 per week. So this school doesn't include activities, but every day after class, we would go out and have lunch with the other people in the class. And so that was really fun because we would continue speaking in Portuguese. In class, we were basically speaking about different topics, maybe having debates and things like that. So that was my experience of learning Portuguese in Brazil. And now I'm going to speak a little bit of Portuguese so that you can see what my level is now after that time studying in Brazil. Oi gente, tudo bem? Eu vou falar em português agora, mas eu não falo perfeito, tá? Então se falo errado, por favor, corrija-me nos comentários abaixo. Então, eu fui ao Brasil por 3 meses e eu fiquei em Cabo Frio, no Rio de Janeiro e em São Paulo com o meu namorado. Então, eu achei Brasil muito legal. Eu gostei muito do meu tempo lá. Então, eu quero conhecer mais cidades no Brasil. Eu tenho que voltar de novo para conhecer lugares como o Nordeste, Minas Gerais, Amazonas e o sul do Brasil. Tem muito para conhecer, porque cada lugar tem muita cultura, a comida é diferente, as pessoas são diferentes. Eu quero conhecer mais. Então, deixa um comentário abaixo, por favor. Onde recomendam o que deveria fazer no cada lugar. Eu quero dizer muito obrigada a cada pessoa que eu conheci no Brasil. Eu fiquei muito feliz conhecendo a vocês. Muito obrigada a vocês. Agora eu falo português, então muito obrigada pelo seu paciência, pela amizade e todo o carinho. Tomara que a gente volte de novo ao Brasil. Muito obrigada por assistir este vídeo e até mais! Ciao, ciao! Okay, so that was me speaking in Portuguese. So I really hope you enjoyed this video and learned something about learning Portuguese in Brazil. If you have any other questions, please let me know in the comments below, and let me know if you have experience of learning Portuguese in Brazil. I would love to hear about any schools or any new ways of studying, so leave a comment below as well. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe to my channel for more videos about languages and travel. So thanks guys for watching, and see you next time. Bye!